Hello! So today we are taking a look at the COWS Diamond DA-42 TDS in Microsoft Flight Simulator. You actually get two aircraft, or two variations of the aircraft. You get the TDI and the NG version, which I guess refers to the engines used on the airframe. So full disclosure, Orbx have given me an advanced release of this aircraft to have a look at, to record some content with. So great thanks go to Orbx for thinking of me and for including me in the early kind of looking at the aircraft, or the early release of the aircraft. So yeah, first impressions, it's something else. It really is very, very good. So it's a very modern aircraft. There's lots of composites used, there's no seams anywhere, no rivets. Although saying that, if you come underneath the aircraft and have a look at the attention to detail in the texturing of the body. So whenever you do get raised surfaces, you get the weathering. It's very, very nicely done. And obviously, as you can see, some of the metalwork is marvellously modelled and textured as well. Very good. Okay, yeah, the material modelling throughout is stunning actually. So yeah, I'm very, very impressed, especially given that most of the aircraft has compound curves involved. So let's go and jump inside a second then, and go and open the canopy, go back to the drone camera, and we can have a look around the cockpit with the drone camera. So you can see the modelling of the cockpit is very impressive as well. So it's got this kind of burnished look to most things, so that I think they've retextured everything, to be honest. And you know, even the traditional instruments that back up the glass cockpit are really nicely done as well. So coming back to the back of the cockpit, you've got the COWS logo on the seats, which is quite cool. And yeah, the attention to detail everywhere is very, very impressive actually. I've been hugely impressed with it. Okay, so let's come back out with the drone camera, and should we take it for a fly? So we're at Gold Coast Airport, by the way, in Australia. I'm running FSLTL in the background, so we might see some other traffic moving around. Although at the time of recording I've modified the time. It's actually the middle of the night in Australia, so we might not see much aircraft around, or many aircraft around at all. Okay, let's go and put the drone camera to one side. Press the insert key to get back inside. And let's see how we get on. So let's, first things first, close the canopy. So this is a marked departure from aircraft I have been looking at in the simulator recently. It's very much a modern aircraft. There's lots of automated systems. So the usual routine of pushing levers and pressing buttons and turning dials and flicking switches to start the airplane up, that's all out of the window. We turn on the electric master switch. That gives us primary screens. So we've got the primary flight display and the navigation display. The moment we turn on the navigation display, it takes over with the engine instruments, which is great. And the engine start is basically a master switch and a key, and that's it. So you have got fuel shut-off valves over here. They're on by default when you get into the aeroplane. And you can leave the engines on idle according to the checklist, which is good. So we can turn the master switch on for the right engine, for example, and then turn the key to the right. Engine bursts into life, master switch on for the left engine, and if I can get the mouse to go to the right side here, that's interesting, I've not seen that happen before. There we go. Okay, so both engines are running, and we're just looking for the temperatures to come up now, so the coolant temperature and the oil temperature. So let's raise it up to 1200 RPM just while we're sitting here. Won't do it any harm. We'll turn the avionics master switch on now. We'll put we should have had the position light on, I guess, before we started the engine. Put the strobe on as well, just so we can go outside and have a look at it. So yeah, the strobes and the position lights are working fine. We want to uncage the attitude indicator and then wait for it to stabilize and let go. We want to calibrate the altimeter. You can see the glass screen one's doing that as well. I just pressed B to shortcut that. So let's go and put a a basic route in. Actually, do we really need a basic route today? We're just flying from Gold Coast over to Southport, which is just up the coast. We can see it on LittleNavMap. I've kind of got it penciled in. So the tours test has just happened, which is great. So we're actually pretty much ready to taxi. So let's go and turn the taxi lights on and press F12 and turn head tracking on. Okay, I'm just going to scoot us forward a little bit. So come off the parking brake. The oil's almost up to temperature, so we'll just, while we're taxiing, hopefully it will warm up a bit further. So we'll put the flaps to takeoff position. And seeing as we're on our way out to the runway now, we'll go and put the pitot heat on. So that's got rid of all the enunciations. So we've got a stall heat fail. I'm not sure what that means, so you'd have to look in the book. There are kind of murmurings about this aircraft being study level, so there may be far more to this aeroplane than I am getting to on this very first look at it. So I apologise if I'm skating over lots of detail that's been simulated. But this is very much a first look, so I'm learning as well. So I've not actually flown it yet. So this is going to be a voyage of discovery for me. I spent 10 minutes in it, looking around to familiarise myself with where switches are, and having a look at the checklists, just to get the routine down. But beyond that, I've not really done anything. So we will hold short of the runway in a moment, and we'll get the heading bug and the course bug lined up. Fingers crossed, it should be a trouble-free flight. I actually quite like it that the weather isn't perfect today. I actually prefer flying when there's something to think about, something to do. Okay, so we'll go for the intersection here. We're not going to need this enormous runway here at Gold Coast, or not much of it anyway. So we'll just pull up to the holding point, and then we'll get our heading bugs and everything sorted out as we need to. Okay, put it on the parking brake for a moment. So you can see the oil temperature still a little bit low. We'll raise the RPM just a bit. Okay. So, let's have a look at the map. So for takeoff it's 139. Okay, for the heading bug. So let's go and move the heading bug round to 139. I'm just going to turn head tracking off to do this because it's a lot easier without it. So 80, 90, 100, 110, 20, 30, 139. We'll also do the same for the course. Just to give us a visual reference as we fly the circuit on the way out. Okay, we've got a caution and it's showing nothing. That seems to be a common fault in the G1000s at the moment. So it's not this aeroplane's fault at all. Okay, so pull the throttles back down. Take the parking brake off. And put the head tracking back on. Oh, we better stop. We're going to wait for him. What's he waiting for? There's no traffic in the queue. Well, nothing departed in front of him, did it? Is he moving? Is he going to move? Well, I'm going to do something that you can't do in the real world, but you absolutely can in a simulator, and that's take my chances and go. Obviously, we would have been holding here for 10 minutes in the real world, but I'd rather get on with my flight. So full throttle. So let's just straighten this view up. It's being a so-and-so, isn't it, today? So through 75 knots we can begin to rotate. We're off the ground, gear up, hold the runway direction. You can see where the crosswind is pushing us slightly. Have a look from outside. It's a lovely looking aeroplane, isn't it? It's still sat there, look. So we'll manage our climb. So let's just drop the nose slightly. We're coming up through 700 feet. Well, ideally we want to climb out to 2,000 feet, so should we dial that in on the... So obviously pattern altitude would be about 1,000 normally. So we're going to climb above the pattern because we're leaving anyway. We're leaving to the north. So continue climbing. If we drop the nose slightly, we'll accelerate a little bit more. So coming over the water here. And then once we've done that, we begin our left turn to follow the normal kind of 2-mile pattern. So we're looking now for the perpendicular direction from the runway to fly out towards the coast, and then we turn left again and follow our way down the coast. So there's our 2,000 feet on the climb. So back to 75% throttle. We are also perpendicular to our takeoff course, which is good. Now, I think given the wind we should probably be slightly to the right of the perpendicular course, but we're still climbing, which is a mistake. Just flying this by hand to get a feel for the aeroplane, really. It flies really nicely. It's very easy to control. So flaps can come up. The landing lights can come... Oh, I've never had the landing lights on. Oh dear, that's a mistake. So this is what happens when you're kind of busy looking at the aeroplane and not following procedures accurately. So we're going to turn left and fly along the coast. Let's have a look at our basic plan we had. So we want to be flying about 320 degrees. This is just a guide. So we're dropping back down towards 2,000 feet. There comes 330 and 320 degrees. It's still wanting to climb like crazy. That's fine now. Just trimming it, getting it back under control. So dropping back down to 2,000 feet as we cruise down the coast. So there's where we took off from. That's Gold Coast Airport. We'll be flying past some of the downtown area on the way. You can see some of the big buildings down here. So should we have a play with the autopilot along the way? So if we press the middle of the heading bug and then turn the autopilot on and go for heading mode, we're almost at 2,000 feet. So it's gone for pitch hold mode though, which is a bit odd. You'd think it would have centered on the heading, on the altitude, wouldn't you? So let's go vertical speed mode and give it... Yeah, it doesn't want to, look, it's just going to center now. It's slowly approaching the 2,000 feet target. interesting. It always fascinates me how the different autopilots sort out their logic of what they're wanting to do. So let's have a look. We're almost back onto the course we wanted to be on, which is great. So we'll just turn a couple of degrees to the right in a moment. Yeah, so altitude hold is kicked in for 2,000 feet. Perfect. So we will cross over right over the top of Surface Paradise, and then we'll turn the reciprocal of the runway direction into Southport. So at the point we cross land, we'll turn right for the reciprocal. So we actually want to land runway 19. So if we put 194 degrees into the course, because we're in lock mode, so we can play with the course knob, then that gives us our reference for the airport. So let's turn the heading track off a moment, so this is quite fiddly. So we want 194, which is the runway direction at Southport. But then that gives us a good visual reference to fly the opposite direction and to fly, you know, across the beam of the runway as well. So while we're flying along, we can turn the taxi lights off as well, can't we, while we're in the air? We'll leave the landing lights on below 10,000 feet just to light our way up. Actually, what do they look like? Are they quite bright? Not really. It's a pretty little aeroplane, isn't it? Very, very good. Okay. So you're going to get an aerial view. We're just below the cloud base, which is perfect. Looks a bit clearer over towards Southport than over the city here. Let's turn the head tracking on so we can rubberneck around the edge of the aeroplane and be nosy. Can we operate the storm window? Yes, we can. So I'm just being nosy now and fiddling with things around the cockpit. Do the keys swing around? Don't think they do. Kind of expecting a bit too much of it now, aren't we? I'm pleasantly surprised with just how good this aeroplane is. So here we go, we're just crossing the land. So let's go and remind ourselves of our route. Oh, we needed to turn a few degrees right, didn't we? Forgot all about that. Got distracted. So we'll be looking, when we get to Labrador, to turn to the opposite of the runway direction. So can we see the airfield from here? It's quite, I think it's hidden down there behind the trees. Or maybe it's over here, I can't remember. It's not easy to see from this side. So it would be just off of our nose. So it's probably that over there somewhere. Yeah, so as soon as we get along this line, we turn to the opposite of the runway direction. So I'm going to come off the autopilot. We'll do this by hand. It'd be much easier to do this by hand than to try and program the airplane to do it. So we're turning to the opposite of the runway direction now, on purpose, to kind of replicate the 2 mile pattern. Okay, so let's have a look at that on the map. That's looking pretty good. So then we'll keep going out this way until we cross over the sandbank. and we'll use that as our turning point. So what we'll do, we'll actually start slowing down. We'll put our landing lights already on. That's fine then. We'll start descending gently. Okay, we're about to cross the sandbar. So we'll begin turning left for the perpendicular course to the runway, and then we can start looking at left to turn in for the airfield. So again, I'm going to pull the throttle back a bit further. Okay, so where is the airfield? There it is, right over there. Descending as we go. Yeah, we've overshot slightly. Not a major problem. We're a little bit high. So what we'll do is just zigzag a little. Whoa, we just put our head back through the seat. So what we might do if we can't descend in time is fly overhead and just fly around a tight pattern around the airfield. Yeah, we're going to have to. We're too high. So the moral of this story is, obviously this is the first time I've flown the aeroplane. It's very fast. You can see I'm having trouble to descend and lose speed at the same time. I'm edging the throttle back and back and back. And yes, we do have a warning. I wondered if we have one. You can only pull the throttle back so far until you get a check gear warning. So I'm on the minimum at the moment. So we'll overfly. We'll go no lower than 500 feet. We'll overfly the airfield. Look at the airplane being thrown around in the turbulence. Okay, so we're within gear and flaps range now. So let's get the gear down and do kind of a dirty circuit with the gear down. So we're going to brake away from the airfield again. Keep an eye on it. We don't really want to go much lower than 500 or 600 feet, so that's we're at about the right height. So we're just flying a box pattern. Look at the wind pushing us sideways. Can you see us crabbing across the ground there? It's quite strong wind, isn't it? So it's coming downwind. So back away from the airfield. Whoa, it's like riding a bucking bronco at the moment. And there's rain. I don't have to choose my days, don't I, to do this. So we're still just under 700 feet or thereabouts. Being thrown all over the place. But this is a much better way of testing an airplane, I think, in poor weather when you're having to hand fly. So just dropping it in now. So flaps to 50%. So there's the airfield. Yeah, we're much better now. Much better. So full flaps. Don't want to get much slower than this because remember rotation speed was about 75 knots. So yeah, I don't want to be playing games without knowing the book numbers for descent. speeds, I'm going to keep into kind of quite a safe realm, shall we say. So I don't want to going to go much slower than 80 knots, even with full flaps. So this is the Orbx version of Southport. And hopefully, yeah, the turbulence has gone away a little bit now over the airfield. Okay, and we're down. So flaps up. Out to the, actually we can probably get past him, can't we? Just, I think his wings are a fair amount higher than ours. Should we have a look from outside? Oh, it's going to be close. Oh, we had a few feet to spare. So yeah, I am hugely impressed with this aeroplane, to be honest. Let's center the view back up. Press F as well. Where does that van think he's going? Oh, it was, he's in a hurry. Must be an Amazon van, maybe. Oh my word. It's a Spitfire. Who knew that was there? Or a bit of a Spitfire. It's funny, the metal detectorist community have this acronym, don't they, of a boat, which is a bit off a tractor. So I wonder if the aviation community have a BOS, which would be a bit of a Spitfire. Anyway, I'm going to leave it parked up here on the taxiway out of the way. So let's put the parking brake back on. So I'm guessing to cut the engine, you would just turn the master switches off, which seems to have worked. Obviously we can then turn the lights off. We could go and turn the avionics master switch off, and then just the electric master switch, because we really didn't do much else when we configured the aeroplane. So we can open the cabin and get out. So press the insert key and grab our Xbox controller, and we'll just have a little look around before we say goodbye to the aeroplane. So we can obviously straighten this up. So this was the COWS Diamond DA-42, the TDI version, I think it was. The NG I've not tried yet, so obviously has slightly different engines. It's a little bit faster, I guess. A bit more powerful, a bit more efficient probably. So yeah, I'm massively impressed with this, so thank you very much to Orbx for sending me this pre-release version of it to have a look at. I'll get this onto YouTube, and then hopefully you enjoy it. So I'll see you again soon.